Okay, I thought I'd show you how to do lightning today. I found a couple of tutorials, but they didn't seem to do the full effect. One showed you how to make lightning, another one showed you how to manipulate it, and so I've decided to see if I can show you how to do it together, make an effective composition. Got a picture of a Hummer here, Humvee. You notice it's got some interesting lighting effect, so I can actually use this as a starting point for the lightning contact. But what you'll notice is there's no sky. Yeah, we need some clouds. You can't have lightning without clouds. So what I'm going to do is open up some storm clouds I found, like so. I'm just going to simply copy them, close this and go back to my Humvee, paste it onto my board. You notice it's a little bit too small to fit into the area I want to have it, so I'm just going to press Ctrl T and just enlarge them. I don't want them too big. You see where this dark effect here, I just want that to go behind this building. As long as the rest of it's underground level, that's okay. Okay, so just press OK. Right, what we obviously need to do now is to remove it from the buildings. The way we do this quickly is to use the diagonal lasso. I'm just going to zoom in so I can see the edge of these buildings. I'm just going to quickly do a mask around it. So, just finding straight edges that I can quickly link to. The thing about lightning whilst I'm doing this is it's quite random. It's a bit like snowflakes, I suppose. You probably don't get an exact copy of any given lightning strike. Unfortunately, Photoshop can't do this to any great extent, so what you have to do is just accommodate the effect of lightning. You can still make it look quite good. There are some brushes available on the internet for lightning. Problem is, they never ever end up in the direction or the style you want them to be. So the best thing to do is to try and build your own. So what I've done here now is I've managed to mask off part of the area. And this is this big lamppost that's obviously in the foreground, so it needs to be taken out. I'm going to close this one first. Way past the point of. I'm going to zoom out. Notice I've just got to add by pressing Shift the rest of the image on there. It doesn't matter how detailed. You see it's all bitty in the background there. It doesn't matter. I just want to get the rough starting point for the mask. Okay, so we've got a mask set up. I just want to go back to my clouds, and notice it's going to cut quite a lot of it out. This is obviously the positive, so I need to reverse it. So you go to Inverse on Select. Okay, press Delete. That takes out enough of the clouds to get you started, and you see it looks like it's behind everything now. Problem is, it's actually too bright. You don't want it like that. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to just blend this part in, so we get rid of the effect that it's got a sharp edge. Try to make it go up to that. Soften it a little bit. Just make it so it goes up to that dark edge, so you can blend it to the dark of the sky without having any problematic effects. So just down at its bottom bit here, I'm just going to soften out some of the clouds into the sky as well, just to make it a little less harsh. So what I did next is I just added one of these filters. You notice if you go through these you can get different effects, so you can make even more rumbly dark skies. What you need to do though is to have the white of the sky, this kind of effect, because it's obviously lightning. You notice it's giving a little bit of a negative effect there as well. Okay, just go through them until you, that's quite a nice one. Just keep going through them until you find one you quite like. That's interesting. See, this one's not working too well because it's giving a negative effect in the dark areas, for instance. Okay, just keep going through them until you find something you think is quite interesting. What I did, in fact, is I used two. Yeah. What I'm going to do is go back to normal quickly. I'm going to open the file that I had open as a test for this tutorial, and I'll show you which ones I chose. This is the end product, yeah, as you see. Alright. So if I go to my sky layers, you see I've used overlay and luminosity. Okay, I'm just going to close this back down again. So what I'm doing is I'm going to duplicate these layers, switch the top one off so I can show you luminosity. That allows you to do the white effect. Okay, drag the one underneath it, add the overlay. Yeah, you see you've got this kind of effect that I told you about. You can obviously go through this and find out if there's another one that you think is more interesting or more appropriate to your needs. But you see what's happening now. It's got this kind of intense flare there, which is what would happen in a lightning strike. What I need to do now, though, is to make the bolt of lightning. Okay, so I'm just going to make a new document. Just for this purposes, I'm going to make it 600. 600. Doesn't need to have a name or anything. Yeah, it's got a blank white one. Make sure you then click on here to make your default black and white. We go to our gradient tool here, and it doesn't really matter how you do it, but depending on the angle, you just need to make a gradient like so. I was messing around with this and I tried to see if it would make any better difference if I tried to make us see if it had any difference by doing this kind of effect or this type of effect. What you'll notice is what we need to do is apply a filter. Down here it says rendered. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to apply the filter, and it does this. Okay, so having the variations in the gradients, all it does is allow you to have two lines appearing, like so. If you do any of the other alternatives, like so, what it's doing is it's having lightning curving, like so. Okay, so it depends on what you really want. The further you do these extreme motions, the different slightly in their angles. You see, you can build up secondary lightning bolts and things like that. What I'm going to do now, though, just to go back to the normal black and white. I'm just going to do it from left to right, all the way across, like so. Apply my difference, and notice you've got this black line appearing. Okay, first thing we need to do is inverse it. So we go to Adjust, Invert, or press Apple I, or Command Control I. And so now it's making the white onto the black instead of the black onto the white. Next, Adjustment Levels. What we need to do is to get rid of as much white as possible so we can have a thin strike line. So we just take our black arrow, adjustment arrow, and move it, and you'll notice what's happening now is there's more black appearing into your picture, like so. And we just keep doing it until it's almost touching the white. You'll notice it'll end up having a very thin edged strike. Yeah. What you can do is then adjust the grey area. Notice if you adjust the grey area, yeah, it can even get down to just being an exact spike. And so we don't want it like that, we want a little bit of depth to it. Okay. What we could do first is to bring this up and then move this towards the white first, and then bring the black down again. Like so. So we're happy with that. Looks like a bit like a lightning strike. Press OK. What I just need to do is just select all, copy, close that. Don't save it, you don't need to worry about that. And on a new layer above the two clouds, I'm just going to paste it. Okay. First things first, we'll just align it. You notice what we've got to do is try to have some of this effect coming from this part of your car to this lightning strike hole there. You could, if you wanted to, add it coming out of here. It's probably a bit better if we have it coming here actually. We could do a secondary one coming down somewhere else later on. You notice obviously it's not in the right angle, so we're just going to rotate it. So roughly it's going to come out of the clouds and hit the Humvee. Just need to be a bit expanded. So once we're happy, you notice also it's got some little effects that you don't want, artifacts that are a little bit annoying. So I'm just going to black those out. So, okay. There we have roughly our lightning strike. Don't worry about the bit that goes past the car because we can adjust this in a minute. You'll notice obviously you don't want it looking like that. You need to have it like a bolt of lightning's like white against nothing. So we're going to add a layer effect, okay, which is the blending options. And here you just notice under the same area as this, okay, you have all your general blendings. And so what we need to do is just go down to screen, because what screen does is it makes you go from black into transparency, because it just emphasises the whites. So you just press screen and you notice everything disappears. Okay, you notice now the sparks roughly touching the car. Okay. What you can do whilst you're in this mode though is you can adjust where it says this layer. You can adjust this slider. You notice it makes things disappear, but you don't want to do that. What you can do is press your Alt down, and it allows you to split this. And so some of those little grey extra bits that you didn't want, you can just move them slightly. So it just gives a little bit more of a solid edge to the lightning strike. You can do the same with the white. Notice the white disappears, but if you split it, you can get rid of some of the extra detail if you wanted to. This can help a lot when you're doing the secondary sparks coming off the main beam. You just want them a little bit softer, like so. So once you're happy with the effect, you just then press OK. Right, but what you need to do is obviously if you look at any lightning, it has like an outside blue glow to it. I'm going to show you what happens if you do that outer glow to what we have at the moment. Basically it glows around the black box that we have. Remember, there's a black box, it doesn't do anything to the actual lightning. We don't want that because obviously that looks awful. If you look in your little layer palette, you notice there's a big black box there. Again, you don't want that there because you're happy with the white strike. Okay, so what we need to do is go to this little point here, which is your options. Okay, and you need to convert this to a smart object. Okay, do that. What you notice as soon as I've done that, it's a smart object, but then the black box has disappeared. So it's seeing it just as the layer effect that we had assigned to it. Okay, once we've done that, we'll just go to Layer, where it says Smart Objects. Basically, you go to Rasterize, and it's converted into a bitmap object now. And you notice the black square is gone. So, right. Quite cool. I think if you even put back it to normal, you see the grey effect that we had before. So what it's got to do is try to get as much of the black out as possible, and that's why we keep it on screen, like so. See the difference? Now we can apply our outer glow. As soon as it comes on, it looks a little bit awful because you can see some of the greying effect around the edge, but if, as I said, you remember, lightning is blue, so if we start, as soon as we start putting some darkly highlighted blue, you see here, it's gone more like a proper lightning strike, like so. Press OK. Yeah, you can, if you want to, adjust some of the values to give it more of a glow or less of a glow, depending on how you want it to look. Okay. Once you're happy with that, you press OK. And obviously now what we can do is just get the rubber and just delete some of the bits we don't need, because obviously we need to have it hitting the car. I'm just going to put my strength up on my thing, so I'm just going to have it so it strikes the front of the car there. Okay, and that's your lightning strike. I don't want to build up any extra ones, but you can. You just basically add them. Okay. What I'll do is I'll show you the finished one I did before, so you can see how I built this up. Notice, for instance, the lightning's a lot stronger on this as well. But I'll just zoom in on this section. All I basically did is added a second strike there, just to make it look a bit more realistic. Here, I just added a new. I don't know if I can find the actual. Yeah, see, I've added an highlight to give extra burn on the white light, and also added a little strike point, where it's more intense. Okay, zoom out. I think there's 2 more layers. Yeah, that's the second strike. That's the first strike. See, I kept them as separate layers. Okay, that's basically how you set up how to do a lightning strike, making sure that the clouds blend in all together to make it look a little bit more interesting as well. Okay, so that's basically how to do lightning.